So Crow Man, it's been a while. You've got your new rhythm out, Between the Lines.
Right.
You happy with the response so far?
Of course, man. Like people are loving it. I getting responses from everywhere. The streams are going, so I know people are loving it.
Yeah, man. And you've done this for a long time now, putting out rhythms, producing rhythms. Does it ever get easier or less exciting, or does the experience change over time?
Um, the experience changes, but I think the most difficult part is recording, who to record, who you have in mind to actually get them on the track. I think that's the most difficult. But in terms of being boring, no, no. I mean, I don't just go in the studio every time and ping pong, ping pong. Sometimes I know a direction that I want to go, and then I just head to that direction.
So how long does it take you typically to make a rhythm? How long did it take you to make Between the
Um,
Lines?
well, composing the rhythm. I mean, this is actually funny. I was actually my son was here for summer. He was in Jamaica for summer, and I was showing him that I could compose a rhythm in just a short period of time, and that's how Between the Lines came about. So I started to compose it. It took like an hour, but I was kind of showing him the process along the way.
Hmm.
Um, However, the complete production took over a year. To get everybody recorded and get it mixed and mastered and so on, took over a year.
So, so are you playing any of the instruments yourself, or you getting other
Yeah,
people to do that?
yeah. So with this rhythm in particular, Between the Lines, is everything was done by me. I did get a live guitarist to come and overdub what I did. So yeah.
And you spoke about choosing the artist, deciding which artist to record with. I find that with a lot of reggae one drop rhythms, especially over the last few years, there seems to be a sort of list of artists who appear time and time again. You got obviously
Yeah,
Romain
yeah.
Virgo, Busy Signal, Christopher Martin. Like you kind of expect to see them on all these reggae rhythms. Is there almost like a lack of choice when it comes to reggae artists in Jamaica now?
Lack of choice isn't the words I'd use, but pretty much we have to work with whoever's working with us. You have some artists are probably in some contracts that don't allow them to work with us. You have another set of artists that just don't want to work with us. I mean, the business is heading to this selfish direction where everybody's counting their streams. Everybody wants to own their masters. Everybody's going that kind of direction. So a lot of artists don't want to work with other people. They would rather do everything on their own. So I've been working with these artists for years. So it's easy to work with them. To work with somebody new, it's a new challenge that you have to take on. And sometimes you just take the easy way.
And I guess you've built up chemistry with those artists, so it might be
Right,
easier to then
right,
make a good
right,
record.
right. And also there's that I'm a very loyal guy, so whoever I work with, who's been there from day one, I'll stick with them. Even while adding new people, I'll stick with them.
Hmm. So I was quite surprised to learn the other day that you've built some of the most classic reggae rhythms of the last few years, and when you first started DJing, you didn't actually like reggae.
No, no. When I was younger though, this was when I was younger. I mean, I started DJing when I was 13. Doing it, I hated reggae. When it was reggae time, I normally hand it over to the next DJ. No, my first reggae record I bought was Barry Salmon, They're Gonna Talk. That was the first time I actually liked a reggae track, fell in love with a reggae track. So I bought that one, and then it started to grow on me, and now reggae is my heartbeat.
That's crazy. And why was that? Do you think was it because that's what your parents were listening to, or?
Nah, well, I mean, being young, the first thing you go for is is what's hype or is what hot at the moment, and what's swinging in the parties and what your peers are listening to, you know. So I was just for the party music. I just wanted to play the songs that would give you the big forwards, and then I grew. I grew. I mean, I was at the parties, I was at the dances while the reggae was playing, so I used to hear them, but that's just not me playing them. So over time, I kind of get tired of the dancehall thing, and then I don't know, that song just had something about it that just got me, and that's where my love for reggae started.
That's crazy because because from me, from being outside of Jamaica looking in, it's like the first thing that gripped me was the old school authentic reggae. You know, that's what I loved, and then I didn't really care too much for like the modern dancehall side of thing.
Right.
But then over time, I got more into the modern dancehall. So I guess when you're used to it and you grow up in the culture, you see it from a different way.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Because for us, the reggae is warm up. You play the reggae before the crowd gets there, or when there's not much people there. Normally, we warm up. However, when we get to parties, well, this is a couple years ago. When we get to the high point of the party, we would do a reggae segment with just the best of the best. The hottest of the hottest, the best of the best. We may do a little old school section with just the best of the best right there again. But we get back to dancehall. So
Mhm.
it's always about dancehall, pretty much. You know what I mean? Well, in my era.
Yeah. So talking about the production again, I mean, you've been producing for a number of years now, and it's something that you've established yourself as a very successful producer. Tell us about how you first got into production, because you were already a DJ and a radio DJ when you got into production, right?
Right. I started out in 2007 thereabout, 2007, 2009, between that time. Um, well, I used to do I used to be a student engineer at my station, Zip. And being there, I used to record a whole bunch of stuff. So you always have artists coming in and recording drops and jingles and those kind of stuff. And I used to be the man behind the console recording them. Um, for my love of music, I used to love to do remixes. So, I normally throw pretty much the dancehall stuff on a hip hop beat, or, vice versa, maybe on a techno beat or something. Um, I was in the studio one day with Busy Signal. That's where it all started. Busy did a crazy freestyle for me on this. I don't even know what kind of beat is that, but it was just a weird beat I found. I just thought it was wicked. And Busy did a crazy freestyle for me. And that was when my production thing started. After Busy finished that freestyle, he was like, "Yo, Chrome, this too bad, we have to produce this." All right. And I was like, "No, son, I can't bother with that." All right. And he was like, Busy pretty much convinced me to produce it. So I linked up with Dan Carleon at the time. I brought the full remix freestyle that we did. And I said, Dan, we can make something that can make this work. And Dan created a beat around it. But the song wasn't actually released. We
Okay.
created everything, but it wasn't released.
So
So
at
yeah,
that point, you didn't have any experience in actual beat making at that time.
I had zero experience at all. I did know nothing about the production process. So I just went to Dan and said, Dan, I want a beat that this can work with. So pretty much Dan did that. And then from there, I just got the interest to learn how to do these things, learn how to, learn more about music, because I didn't know about keys at the time and those kind of stuff. After Dan, here comes Stephen. Stephen was a great producer in my eyes, and he was young, so we were, we could knock together pretty much. And Stephen helped me with some beats. You had Birch there too. So I just pick small things from each one of them until I made myself. I'm still not like the greatest musician. I can't play flawless keys, but I can get what I want. I can draw every note. Yeah.
So how long did it take you to develop those skills to the point where you could comfortably make your own beats and present them to an artist?
Um, I don't know when it's complete. I just know. I just know when it's complete. It took me roughly a couple of years. That was not until the first beat I made by myself. I can't even remember, but I used to do a lot of beat. Cartel has been a big inspiration for me, because if I did something on a clap and I sent it to Cartel, Cartel would have DJ'd on it. So he gave me hope that, yo, maybe one day you could become a great musician from, what I mean, just ping ponging. You know what I mean? So I'm not sure how long it was, but up to today, I mean, sometimes I'm still not confident. You know what I mean? But if I love it, I'll definitely believe in it, and I can present it. So if it gets to a point where I love it, I can always present it.
Tell us about your working relationship with Cartel, because you two have produced some iconic hits together, and I know that you've worked closely with him over the years. Tell us about how you first linked up.
All right, well, Cartel. After that production with Busy Signal and Don, me and Don became friends. So my first rhythm, pretty much that I put out, was done by Don Corleone. It's called a Chromium rhythm. So me and Don created that one in studio. Don created it, and I was there also. But I don't want to confuse. They created it in studio, but yeah. So me and Don were there. Don actually recorded Cartel on that beat for me, because at that point Don and Cartel were really close. So Don recorded Cartel on the beat for me. And there was Munga. Don recorded Munga on the beat along with himself, and I recorded Mavado, Beanie Man, and Voicemail. That was my first rhythm. So that's how I got introduced to Cartel via Don. So I didn't know Cartel at this point. Don was the one who just recorded Cartel, and then it was like, I think it was a dub session like a couple months after that I met Cartel. So I was really introduced to Cartel through Don pretty much. So Cartel recorded on that beat, and we didn't talk, we didn't speak. However, when I saw him at the dub session, he was like, "Oh, you're Chrome. Okay, well, go on, everything cool," and whatever it is, and that's where we exchanged numbers and started linking.
So then, how long after that was it that you first started producing rhythms for Cartel?
So instantly, I think this was 2007. My other production was, I think this was late 2007, and my other production was 2009. In 2009, this was Triple Bounce. I linked Cartel myself from that, and then that's where we created Bicycle and Mr. Officer. And then 2010 came Clark's, Dumper Truck, Dancehall Hero, You Me Need, and then going from that, it was history. And we still have some records that we haven't released.
Crazy. Tell us about the making of Bicycle, because I know there's a funny story behind that recording.
Yeah. Well, Bicycle is, Cartel actually surprised me. I went down to Cartel studio to actually so I wanted to be there when he was recording, and it's crazy. So the rhythm was there running for quite a while. Cartel just listening, sitting down, and it was ridiculous. He just said to the engineer, I was the one recording it, the engineer was there, and he said to the engineer, ready, and went inside the studio, and the rhythm playing, him hit record, Cartel not saying anything, and then like midway through the song, Cartel just says something, and then him say, all right, give me it again from top, and then he recorded again. I'm saying, okay, is he gonna do the verse? Is he gonna do something? Him say something again. They realize it matches up with what he just said before. So this is like in the middle. I don't remember which verse exactly, but this wasn't the first verse. This was somewhere in the middle, and that's how he composed the song. So he did the intro last. So he composed all the song and then did the intro last. And I think he started with the second verse, and then he came around, did the first verse, then the chorus, then did the intro. Yeah, so I was like, wow, because I didn't understand what was going on here. It was just hit record and I'm there, and I'm saying to myself, is he gonna start? And even the engineer was looking around like, but he left it running, and then you just hear him say something. Before you know it, it's a song, hit song.
So had he heard that rhythm before that point or not?
Well, I had sent it to him.
Okay.
I had sent it to him via email, but I'm not sure if he listened to it before. But when I was there, he was listening to it for quite a while, maybe like an hour or so before. He was definitely listening to it.
So when you got that success with Bicycle and the Triple Bounce rhythm, before that point, had you considered that you were going to be a successful producer? Like, was that something that you thought you could?
No, definitely. I don't even call myself a successful producer right now. I just call myself a producer, because what happens, I just do music that I love and what I can dance to. At that point, it was I was looking at music from a DJ's perspective. I wanted people to dance. I like when you play music and people dance. So I was just doing music for people to dance. I wasn't thinking that I'm a producer at this point. You know what I mean? I was just like, yo, I do some music. I didn't know what I was doing. I was doing some music. Yeah.
So obviously you've been a radio DJ and a DJ for a number of years before you got into production. How did you manage to adjust to that role as a producer and finding the time and stuff like that? Because it's a time consuming thing, isn't it?
It's definitely a time consuming thing. I just think, I mean, pretty much as a DJ, it's for me, I was on the road constantly, doing shows, between shows and radio. It was really hard, but you have good people around me. So you have these producers who these seasoned producers who I could call on to give me some help. The Chimney Records, Jordan helped me out with some of the stuff. Stephen would have helped me. Birch would have helped me. These are seasoned people who I can go in. They're they're more musicians than what I am, and I can sit and say to them, give me this, give me that, and we could compose this thing in a short period of time. As it relates to recording, back then it was a vibe. So it's like, if I recorded Cartel, I just need to say it to another artist, say, yo, Cartel recording, and them say, what? All right. And they want to record on it. You know what I mean? And by the time I say Cartel and my father recording, the other man say, ready, give me the rhythm. So it was a more of a fast-paced thing. Well, yeah, it was more of a fast-paced thing. So yeah, that's it. I didn't feel like I was losing focus as a DJ, because I would be on the radio 5 days, 5 to 6 days a week. Still juggle the shows and do this in the other downtime. It's always sleepless nights, hence why I started this thing called Team No Sleep, because that's literally was my life. You know what I mean? It was no sleeping. But as I said, I mean, I normally get help from somewhere, like not everything that I do, I mix myself and those kind of stuff. I have people to help me to do those stuff. So I have people to take some of that weight off me. So I could definitely balance. It wasn't easy. It's not an easy process, definitely. But, with the help, it worked out.
And do you think that being a radio DJ helped you to produce rhythms and have an ear for hits?
Yeah, definitely. I wasn't only just a radio DJ, I was also the music advisor, the music director at Zip 103 FM. So I used to listen to music from all genres. At Zip would play every single genre possible, apart from jazz, maybe, but so I had the experience of all genres passing through my ears. So with that, producing a dancehall beat or dancehall rhythm wasn't that difficult, because I kind of knew where the music was at that time, and I know what would work. Yeah.
To go quickly back to your work with Cartel, obviously you had Bicycle, that was a big hit, and then Clark's was the real massive hit that you made with Cartel. Tell us about how that all came about.
Well, I did a collab with Charlie Black, Ding Dong, and Chiching. Yeah, Charlie Black, Ding Dong, Chiching Ching. Yeah. And I thought this collab was good. But I was saying, yo, I need to juggle this rhythm. You know what I mean? I need some more people on it. So because I had Charlie Black, Chiching, and Ding Dong on one track, I said to myself, yo, I'm going to do a collab rhythm. Because at the time you had a whole lot of single songs coming out, a whole lot of rhythms with just one song. So I said, I'm going to do a collab rhythm. The entire rhythm is going to be collab. And I'm going to do it not a double collab. I want it a 3-way collab or more, right? So, of course, Cartel has been there from the inception of producing. So I reached out to him. At that point, he had just signed Popgun. So I said to him, say, yo, I do not collab with him with this. And I said, I do not collab with him, and I'd like you to use the new guy, Popgun. But I don't want a double collab. I want a 3-way collab. And he says, okay, Gaza Slim too. And I said, yeah. All right. And that's how it came along. So I had an idea, not for Clark's. I said to him, say, yo, we can do the whole close thing. You know what I mean? A kind of collab like that. You know what I mean? And he was like, all right, cool. And then the next day, I remember getting a call from Dan. Don called me and Don called me and said, Chrome, you have one of the biggest song, boy. I mean, I don't know how you gonna manage this, right? I was just like, yo, let me hear it now. I'm like, no, we can't make you hear it, right? So the track was recorded up Don Corleone, by Don Corleone studio, and that was the beginning of real hit. That was the beginning of a real hit. Instantly, by the time I finished mixing that, I mixed that, I mixed that one myself, and by the time I finished mixing it, I remember I played it on the radio on a Saturday, and literally the phone lines went crazy the first time it played. Like, I didn't expect that feedback from it. I was just like, yo, let me test this out and see how it feel. I did it, and it was history from there.
But you must have known that it was going to be a hit, right?
Yes, but not to the extent of how of that big. You know what I mean? I didn't know in 2020 it would still be a hit. I didn't know it would be a classic. And it would be a hit, but not a classic, pretty much.
So what's that? Talk us through that feeling of, you've got this rhythm, you've got this song, you voiced it, and you're waiting to put it out there into the world, knowing that it's going to be a hit. Like, how does that feel?
I had no expectations that it would be that big. So for me, it's a hit song, but I've produced hit song before. So I had produced the Chrome Rhythm with Mavado and Cartel. Those songs hit in Jamaica. They were hits in Jamaica. I didn't know what international hit felt like. So I didn't expect anything. So I just put it out knowing that this was going to be a next big song. You know what I mean? But when I see the amount of people linking me and stuff about it, then that was like, wow, this song is really big. You get me? So.
And that was the song that really kind of took Popgun's career to a new level at the time. Did you see Popgun doing what he's doing now at the time? Like, did you know how big he'd become?
No, definitely. I can't see artists being more than what they are, pretty much. I'm not one of those persons who can say, yo, this artist, he's gonna be the biggest thing 10 years from now. No, I'm not one of them. I can see your work and be like, yo, he's good, but I don't know how far you're gonna go, because that depends on so many different things, right? I'm just happy that I helped introduce this guy. I literally asked for him. It wasn't something I ran into or something that was suggested to me. I asked for him, and his line was the catchy line, "Wagwan pop, then hard skull." You understand?
Yeah, man.
So
So seeing what he's achieved now and the longevity that he's had, and obviously the likes of Vibes Cartel, Mavado, do you think that we're going to see that again from the new generation of artists, like that domination for long periods of time?
I have mixed feelings about it. Popcorn is a bridge for me. He's old school and he's new school. So I think he's a very rare case. I think for the newer guys coming in now, I love the music that they're doing. Well, I like the music that they're doing. I'm not in love with it like I was in love with the music from 10 years ago. However, they have a market. They do have a market. Maybe, music evolves, and with music evolving, we have to readjust. I mean, we used to buy records back in the 90s, move to CDs. Nowhere we're buying MP3s. So it's like it's evolving. So as long as the world evolves with this generation, they might stay for a long time, because what happens is that this generation of artists right now is really not my generation. It's for the younger guys. Like you have somebody like Alkaline and somebody like Jada Kingdom, who were born in the streaming generation. Without any effort, they can rack up a big number of streams, because that's what their fan base knows. So there's always room for improvement. So therefore, the content, they can work on the content, and maybe just try to infuse a little bit more original sound in some of the productions. But dancehall has always been a genre that picks from every genre across the world. So with them doing this trap thing, or them doing a fusion with something else, it's okay. I'm good with it. But maybe if you do 10 of that, the one authentic thing or try to fuse it little more so have little more authentic vibe. But they do have their market that loves them for what they do, and they might end up being the next Michael Jackson. I don't know.
Yeah, man, for sure. And I mean, it does seem that the turnaround of artists is getting quicker and quicker. Is that something that you've noticed in your time as a
Yeah,
radio
yeah,
DJ, producer?
yeah, definitely. With this evolving in music, what I notice is that record labels are no longer a big thing for artists. Everybody's independent now. Everybody's all about, it's all about them. You know what I mean? And when you have control over your thing, you get to decide when you do what, you know, and with that, these artists create a fan base of their own, and they can always feed the music to their fan base how they want, when they want. And with that, I mean, there's a downside to it that I'll get to in a minute. But when they do that, they actually kind of, when they do that, they actually kind of create their own path. So therefore, you're gonna have a whole bunch of artists just bomb rushing the one gate, you know. And right now, the gate is these streaming services, the YouTube, the Spotify, the Apple Music. So that's what's happening. The downside to that is that, just like what we are talking about before, the music doesn't last as long because no real promotion is behind any track anymore, you know, any solid campaigning, you know, and promotion goes a far way in the life of a song.
Is it getting harder for artists now to have a longer career, would you say?
No, it's not. You just need to keep working. Gone are the days where you can drop an album and just go and sit down. No, you drop an album, the world listen to your album in 90 minutes, and after 90 minutes, we you know, we need something else. You know, so it's not. So as long as you keep working, your career will still be there. Mm-hmm. But if you decide to get complacent, then you're in trouble.
So you're talking about streaming and the sort of I guess the easiness of getting that access to streaming now. How important is radio in today's industry still?
Radio is very, 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 very important. Radio is one of those things that you can't get rid of, pretty much. You know, a lot of these people know, like, radio has been streaming for years. What radio has been doing is streaming. And what you get to find out now, radio is where you will get that repeated play that will give you the long-term life of your song. You know, you're not just a trend. You know, you're not just the hot song for this week. You get the entire months. You get that constant rotation, and that will give you the long-term hit. So radio is very, very vital. You still have all 90% of the artists in the world still fight for the big artists, the Nicki Minaj, the Kanye West. They still fight for radio play. They still try to get their song on those major rotations. You will never get to a certain level. Well, let's not say never, but you might never get to that level without radio.
Mm. So I guess there's certain people who aren't even interested in YouTube or, you know, stuff like that, and the only way that they consume the music is through radio.
Right. Yeah. So you have those people also, but also to add, radio will be there when you're driving in a car and you're not in control of the music sometimes. You know what I mean? Radio is there when, you know, like 90% of the places you go, you don't have control of the music that's played. Here in Jamaica, it's radio. There's always radio, you know what I mean, playing in the background. And if you're on that list, you're good to go.
So how do you decide, you know, you as a radio DJ, how do you decide which songs make that rotation? Like what factors come into play?
Well, definitely. For me, I always just play what I love. There's no deciding factor pretty much. As long as I love it, I keep them in my rotation. There's lots of songs that other people love and I don't love them, so I don't put them in my rotation. Because what happens is, if I start to play something that I don't love, I'm gonna stop dancing. If I stop dancing inside that studio, my entire vibe just cut. My entire vibe just broke. So I literally have to play music that I like. You know, Yeah,
Sorry.
there are songs that have been in rotation for months and months and months, even though you have newer songs, they still have these old songs.
So talk us through how you put together a radio show, because there's a lot of work that goes into the production of it that a lot of people don't see.
Right. Well, for me, I'm pretty current. I'm not at all behind in any genre. I'm pretty much right where music is today. So it's not that hard. But most of my shows I freestyle them. I don't do much on preparation. If I get something new, I'll say, okay, I can put this in, but then I don't know what's gonna happen next. Because what I tend to find out is when I prepare too much for the shows, I jump off track. I still end up jumping off track. So I mean, I kind of work with the vibe at the time. Nowadays we do have Twitter, we do have Instagram, so you have people giving you the feedback as you go along, and maybe you might get something that and you want to stick to that. So stick to that kind of vibe or whatever it is. But I mean, on a normal basis, I do see my DJ friends do it. It's a whole lot of listening and try to put songs that work well together. Some of them mixed by key, and they put songs that the keys are together. So it's a whole lot of preparation behind the scenes. But you do have to listen to your songs. The number one thing is you have to know your songs. If you don't know what you're playing, it's going to be ridiculous.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, as you know, radio DJ and the senior director of music at Zip, you must get hundreds of applications from artists every day, trying to get on the radio.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you say to an upcoming artist who is trying to get radio play? What advice would you give them to get themselves heard on radio?
Okay, pretty easy. Like a lot of people don't understand the concept of radio, of getting radio play, and it's pretty simple. First, as an artist, what you need is fans. So I would say do a record, get it properly done, mix, mastered, whatever. I mean, properly, mix and mastered properly. Then you play it for your friends, close friends. You mean your best friend and two other people who you hang out with. If they like the record, you start to go a little wider. So you play it for your community. When your community likes it, or based on the feedback you're getting, you spread it to the other communities outside of your community, so you're just slowly spreading like this. Then you're creating a fan base of this song in particular, maybe yourself also, of this song. When it gets to this place, this is where you bring it to radio. So you bring it to radio. Now, when radio plays this song or anything, we're getting requests, we're getting feedback. People are loving this song. So we might say, yo, let's keep this song into rotation. The people love it. You know what I mean? That's my advice to people who want to be on radio. You should make sure that your neighbors, your friends, your neighbors, and your neighbors' neighbors love it before you get to radio. Just don't jump straight from out of the recording booth straight to radio. It works sometimes, but it's always better when you have a fan base. If you notice after you've created a fan base, somebody with a big fan base, a huge fan base, they take on radio last. They can throw it to their fans and their fans love it. And then they say, okay, let's send this to radio now. They do it too. So yeah, that's the concept of how to get onto radio. What I would recommend.
So when you say take it to the community, do you mean taking it to the DJs to play on the sound systems, or like playing it on the streets, or
anyone? You're just trying to get a fan base. You're trying to create, I mean, as a young artist, you have no fan base. What you need is a fan base. So you're just trying to get fans from all over. So normally the first place that supports you is the people who are right around you. Your first supporting hands are the ones that are right there. Now, say to your best friend, yo, play it for your friend, and tell me what them like. Tell me if them like it. And then it goes like that. Then you bring it to the community DJs. They will play it because you're from there. And they start to play it, and it starts to spread throughout your community. Then you just start to go viral. It works just like social media, just like how something goes viral. You post it on one page, somebody else reposts until you get this big number. So it works the same.
So in the day of in this modern age of social media with Instagram and stuff, like, do you actually still need to do that physical groundwork, or can you do that purely on Instagram?
Oh, definitely. If I mean, there's more than one ways to break the song. But however, I think the groundwork is very, very important, because what happens on social media just gives you highlights. social media is really highlights of your life, right? So people are interested in that kind of stuff, but it doesn't stick with them. No, you want to create a loyal fan base. Massacre, for instance, Massacre had a cult fan base before he had a hit record, you know? So that's what he did. He used to do mixtapes and those kind of things, and Portmore loved him before he had one song playing on the radio. Then I heard about him. He started doing freestyles for me on my show, and started to spread a little bit. And then look at Massacre now. Massacre is a big artist now. So it does work. There's also this tagging thing. You can always tag people on social media. Tag them. Let them get a little proofs of what's going on. They might like it. I've heard a lot of songs. People have tagged me in music on social media, and then I end up playing those songs on the radio. So it works. But I would recommend the ground promotion to definitely, because you actually get a real fan base, and not just a fan base that likes you today, and then tomorrow when somebody else tag them in something else, they like that and forget about you. Yeah.
And you mentioned about getting your song properly mixed, properly mastered. I think an issue that a lot of young artists have is that they maybe don't have the access to certain producers or engineers or studios, which would allow them to get that next level of production. What would you advise to them about getting noticed by producers?
Well, if you do a song and you want it mixed in today's world, there are millions of stuff on the internet, millions of DJ, millions of mixing engineers, those kind of stuff. You can try. You have to look on music. If this is your career, you have to be able to invest in your career, right? And you're not gonna ever go to a mixing engineer and say, "Can you mix this for me?" And they will look at you and be like, "No." It's a money making game for that mixing engineer. They don't want to know what they're doing first. Getting a producer to mix it is not necessarily the best option, because a producer may be flooded with other production work. So getting a mixing engineer to do it is probably the route to take. I would just advise them to just use up the internet, use recommendation, ask around. You will end up with somebody who will work with you, definitely.
Mm-hmm. So I wanted to ask you a bit about your work as a DJ, because obviously, you've got the radio show, you've got the production, right. The actual live DJing is a big part of your brand as well. In your opinion, what makes a good DJ?
Two things make a good DJ for me. There's street DJs and there's music DJs. I fell in love with the art of DJing. I love the scratching and the turntable, being a turntablist. I fell in love with that. That's what piqued my interest, why I wanted to be a DJ. So that is one. And the second thing is a DJ that can read the crowd, can read a crowd. You can't be playing for people and people are looking at you like, "Hey, what are you playing?" You know what I mean? So two things that make a good DJ. So you have to understand music and how to present it, pretty much. That's where the turntablists come in. And then you have to learn when to do that, though, because in dancehall, it's not a turntablist game. You just have to know how to present the music, when to play what, and so on. And then the other side to is pretty much as I said just now, to read your crowd. So you have to know how to read your crowd. So if you're playing the biggest song in the world, the hottest song right now, that's #1 all over the world, and it's not working, you have to know that, let's try and read this crowd to give them what they need. And it's important that DJs understand that there's never a point that you will please 100% of the audience that's in front of you. So you just have to work with the majority. So yeah, so a good DJ is one who reads the crowd and one who presents music properly.
And is that a skill that you build over time, or should that be like an instinctive thing?
Definitely it's something you build over time. After going to different events, you kind of look at the people and you test them and see what they're dancing to, and then you kind of keep in mind, like, this age group of people, they like this kind of music. You know what I mean? And if you're playing something that you think they would like and it's not working, try changing it and see if it works. So it's experimental also. I know for sure being a turntablist is impressive, but there's time and place for that also. You know what I mean? You don't go in a dance and pretend like, you know, you're this turntablist and can do all these tricks. No.
Have you ever had any situations, maybe at the start of your career, where you made some big mistakes as a DJ?
Always, always, always. You know, I made even a mistake a couple nights ago, just doing something over the internet, you know. But it's important that you learn from your mistakes. I mean, every DJ have a good day, every DJ have a bad day. I've never judged a DJ from listening to them once, because I know that the greatest DJ have bad days. So, you know, maybe that one time that I'm listening, this is the bad time for that DJ. You know what I mean? So I always just, you know, listen again some other time and, you know, hopefully them impressed if they didn't before.
Is it harder now for DJs to get noticed because it's such a saturated market now? You know, with it's so much easier now to become a DJ that there's so much more competition, I guess.
Um, Only the strong will survive, if you ask me. Pretty much, it's very much harder to get noticed. Um, but it's also easier in some sense also, because with all these streaming services going around now, I mean, the free streaming services, the SoundCloud, I mean, YouTube and those places, you can create a mix, and a lot of people just use these services just strictly to listen to music. You know, they'll be having a party and they just type in dance our latest mix to 2020, and then you see this DJ that nobody knows come up on top because he's very good at social media, you know, and then his mix get played, and before you know it, people love it, you know. So it's two sides. There are two sides to it.
So what do you need to do as a DJ? Because obviously, you know, to be a DJ, you need to be able to do the basic mixing and all that. But then it kind of seems like you need to have something else added to your brand in order to get you to that next level.
To stand out as a DJ is pretty much, you have to be pretty much like an artist. You have to have a fan base. So it's the same procedure pretty much. You work with who's right in front of you first. Like I started out DJing in my backyard, and my neighbors and my brother were my biggest fans. You know what I mean? And it grew from there until there was a sound system that was down the road, and we decided that we're gonna go around there and just play records in the evening, you know, before the real party started. And it went like that. Um, you know, we started doing that until one day the guy who was supposed to do the show, the real DJ that was supposed to do the show, didn't turn up. I ended up we had to do the show. I had to do the show. So I started to play records for the entire night. And that was your first break. So it's like the work, try and build a fan base, try and be creative with what you're doing also. You can't be doing the same thing that everybody else is doing. How will you stand out? So you have to find some creative way to make your brand stand out. A lot of DJs used to do remixes and those kind of stuff. Those things work sometimes, but that's for a niche market. So pretty much find something that others will like to. You know what I mean? Probably some shorter mixes, probably the 10-minute mixes instead of doing an hour and a half every single time. Every time you go find a mix, it's an hour and a half. So try doing some shorter mixes and present it. How you present it makes such a big difference. I know a lot of people who fell in love with my DJing because they said they love our transition. The transition from rhythm to rhythm. It's never just at that point, you know, it was never just cutting at the fading across into the next rhythm. There was always some loop and some fade and some echoes and delays, and then it works into the next rhythm. You're like, oh, he changed it. Okay, you know, so you have people fall in love with different things. So you just have to be creative and try to be just not too different, just a little different from what's out there.
Which aspect of your career do you enjoy the most? Obviously, you do production, you do radio, you do DJing, events. Like, which part do you love the most?
Before a producer, before anything else, I'm a DJ. I've been DJing since I was 13. You know, there's not. I don't think you could pretty much put me in a show that I couldn't do. You know, maybe unless it's some culture difference. You know, but if it's something with my culture, definitely I can present. Um, so for me, I'm a DJ first. I love music, so therefore playing music on the radio is always one of the greatest things for me. When you have a crowd in front of you, they kind of limit you to what you can play and how hard you can go. So being a DJ on the radio, you can experiment and do anything you want to do. You make a mistake, you just, you're the only one who pretty much picked up like, hey, I made a mistake. It is not audible, so yeah, radio DJ, that's my biggest thing.
And I mean, you mentioned at the start, when you were talking about your productions, that you're still not 100% confident making rhythms, which to me just sounds crazy. Like, is that something that you've had to build over time, that confidence with production and just DJing in general?
Well, yes, definitely. When I say I'm not confident, there's sometimes a rhythm is always unfinished to me. It's always unfinished. No matter how you produce it, it's unfinished. Something is missing. Something could have been added right there. You know what I mean? So that's what I mean. But yeah, there's like, if I could revisit 90% of my rhythms right now, there's things I would change about them. There's a lot I would change about them, as a matter of fact. You know what I mean? And a lot of producers say this. When I speak to my producer friends, they have the same feeling. They're like, yo, Between the Lines in particular, I had a definite direction I wanted to go with it, so I just did it. So yeah.
And with all that you've achieved, throughout your career, have you ever felt satisfied? Like, have you ever felt like you're happy with what you achieved, or have you always just been looking?
No, I'm totally satisfied with what I've done. If I'm supposed to end my DJ career tomorrow, I'm satisfied. If I'm supposed to end my production career tomorrow, I'm satisfied. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, I don't have much longer in this game. Here comes a point where you can't. Well, I believe that you can't pretty much take the game all for yourself. You have to leave room for other people to come through the game. So I have a cutoff point where I'm going to be like, yo, I'm not going to DJ anymore. I'm not going to produce anymore. You know what I mean? Onto different things. Maybe I go work in the office. You know what I mean? Maybe I do some farming. Like, try something different.
I can't imagine that.
Yeah, well, that's it. So that's me. Pretty much.
Yeah, man. So if you did quit tomorrow, let's say you retired tomorrow, yeah, what would you want to be remembered as? Like, how would you want ZJ Chrome to be remembered?
First of all, I've pretty much quit the road in Jamaica. I'm not doing so much road like before. I cut it down drastically. So that's me just fading out the road in Jamaica. I still do a lot of international shows, but I fade out the road in Jamaica. But if I was to quit tomorrow, I just want people to I've never thought about that, but I just want people to remember me. I mean with how I contributed to music. It's a genuine contribution. I'm not doing music for money. I'm not doing music for fame. I just do music because I genuinely love it and I genuinely want to contribute to it. You know what I mean? So yeah.
Is there any part of the game, the music game, that you feel has kind of ever treated you unfairly, or is there things that you ever frustrated about that you've sort of noticed over the years?
I mean, of course, it's always difficult to work with other people. There's always, dancehall in particular, there's always a lot of people saying that they want to collab, we collab and work together, but it just never happens. If you reach out, it never happens. You know what I mean? I think they use those words just to give you comfort, pretty much. You know what I mean? Working with our locals is pretty hard, and I guess that's what bothers me the most. You know what I mean? I wish we could collaborate a lot more and we could get much further if we do.
And do you ever feel like you wish you had more time to focus on one specific part of your career?
Like there are a lot of days I wish there was more than 24 hours in a day. It's like I still have productions right here that I haven't completed, but I have to balance family along with my day-to-day, life. My life can't be all about music and producing music, or DJing music. So I have to balance family and other things right now. And family is very, very important, So, when this music fades, when the production changes, family will always be there, So I have to put a lot of time and so on and balance this thing properly. So yeah, man, but I can't leave and don't push between the lines.
Yeah, man. So tell us how we can stream it and stuff like that.
Sure. Between the Lines is out. If you're living under some rock or you're not listening to Chris's show, we understand, you know. But Between the Lines is out. It's a reggae one drop rhythm. Every single song is bad on it. Um, I'm working on other stuff also. I'm doing pretty much an, it's not an album. I don't want to call it an album. It's just a compilation of songs that is dancehall though. It's gonna be called Flipping Dancehall. So flipping dancehall, two senses. Like flip what we know as dancehall from the authentic to what's going on or the kind of trap vibe, and also and also flipping dancehall for dancehall. We're talking about flipping dancehall. So there's a twist to it. So I'm working on a nice little EP. Let's say EP with that.
When can we expect to see that?
It's like 90% complete. So anytime now. I just watching the market and see where the market is before I drop it, because timing is very important when it comes to music. So I just watching the market and see where it's at.
And can you tell us any of the artists that are featured on it?
Yeah, I can tell you a couple. I have Massacre, Alkaline, Cartel. That's true.
Not bad, not bad.
Yeah.
All right, Chrome. Well, yeah, we look forward to seeing that, and we'll catch up with you soon. Yeah.
All right. Appreciate it. Respect.
Respect, bro.